Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Whoa. Yes, we are back. Another episode of Off Field. I normally am not able. Let me get this. Let me get that creepy bag out of the shot.
You've been available last few
I have been, but normally I'm flying back on a Wednesday
right.
from San Francisco, San Jose area. But this time they flew me back last night, so I got in late, and now I'm able to join my besties on a Wednesday.
I have not seen who you had on the show. Nate, did you see who she had, or did she tell
No
you?
guest.
She didn't tell.
There was no guest.
No guest. So then
It was
let me
just
think.
Debo and
Let me
I.
think you could have had. You could have had Randy Moss, or should have.
Yeah, I think there were a couple.
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, we were looking at 49ers players because a couple of our long distance guests.
Ricky
couldn't do it.
Pearsall. Dude,
That
gets
was
shot in
our-
the
that
chest.
was-
He wasn't available.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
First career touchdown.
Yeah, fantastic.
good.
We trust me.
C-Max playing now.
Trust me, we've thought through all these things. I don't have much control over.
It's
whether or
hard to
not
get
we-
people on podcasts. Like they
It
don't
is.
want to come and talk. Like,
It is.
You know.
It's very
But I think it's
difficult.
probably easier if it's your teammate and he's one of your star players.
But
and
it's your
doing
one
it-
day off of the week.
Well, you would
Yeah,
think
you're
that,
right.
but did you watch
Yeah.
our first episode? Did you watch the Ayuk episode? Ayuk looked like it was.
He didn't want to be there.
I don't want to assume that he didn't want to be there, but it definitely seemed that way.
Yeah. Well, these guys aren't all like trained in media. Like they're not
Right.
very.
It's
you know,
hard
they're
for
not
them
used
to also
talking
talk.
for an hour.
Right,
you know?
and especially about themselves.
But why
Yeah.
do you need to have him for an hour? I know, whatever. We don't get into the structure. They'll be like, hey, come on in. Hey, here's Brandon. All right, now, Debo, let's get into our stuff. Or Nate.
That's
let's get
usually
into
the
our stuff.
plan, but
Yeah, but either way, you tell him.
I mean,
hey,
we should know better than anybody that on this show things get a little long-winded.
Well, not
yeah,
with Brandon. He's
no.
usually very
Mine is
concise.
concise.
Yeah.
I keep mine. I have a lot to say, and I condense it into 4 to 7 minutes.
BK, delusional.
I have 20 minutes worth of stuff to say, and I
BK
pare it down to 7
Yeah.
minutes at a time.
Okay. Perfect. Well, Broncos, Falcons this weekend.
Did you come straight from the airport?
No, do I look like I did?
I mean, you're wearing sweatpants from Costco,
These okay.
and you had to buy 9 pairs, right? Because it's Costco, so you have to buy in bulk.
You know what? Put some of these on before you become a hater because they are insanely comfortable.
Are they actually
Shut
from
up,
Costco?
Yeah.
It
Oh, cool.
literally say Kirkland brand. That's
Okay,
their
cool. I didn't see
signature.
it. Yeah.
No, they're fantastic.
I didn't either until I looked up there.
No, they're
My
amazing.
shirt
nice.
from
So
Abbey, Abbey
so
Road
comfortable.
Studios. It says,
Yeah. No one asked about your shirt, but
where's your shirt? Black shirt.
Tell us about your shoes and your jeans, BK,
Yeah.
before we get into this matchup. Broncos have an exciting game coming up.
Very much.
Getting off the schneid, hopefully, right?
Mhm.
Falcons. What do we know about the Falcons? I mean, they're in first place in their division.
Low bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crappy division. Well, no, it's true because the NFC South. You remember the Tampa Bay Bucks started off real hot. They've lost 4 straight.
Yeah, those injuries killer.
The Saints and the Panthers. So the Falcons are in first place at 6-4.
Yep.
Playing pretty good.
They have some really interesting, beyond interesting, really exciting weapons. They have a top tier receiver in Drake London. He may not be all the way there yet, but he's certainly trending in that direction. They have as physically talented a tight end as you can have, at least in the pass game, in Kyle Pitts. And then Bijan Robinson is as dynamic a running back as there is. You know, Derrick Henry's kind of one of ones. You can't really compare guys to him. But when you look at what guys like Christian McCaffrey do, or Alvin Kamara, or what Breece Hall, I think what Jets fans think he could be, guys like that, maybe Kyron Williams too. Bijan Robinson's right there. We saw it as a rookie, and he's kind of picked up where he left off. So those make their offense exciting. They got 39-year-old Kirk Cousins.
Kirk
How old is he?
Cousins, he's 36, but he's playing pretty high at a pretty high level. But he's been
That
sacked,
swag. It's that Atlanta swag,
isn't
I think.
it? Yeah.
Mhm.
But they're the 5th best offense in the league yards per game. So the Broncos defense has a job ahead of them. Kind of middle of the pack in scoring, 5th in passing yards, 12th in rushing yards. But then they have not a great defense, 24th.
Yeah, their
ranked.
defense is bottom 10 in yards allowed
Yeah,
to opponents this season.
yeah, and passing yards 24th, rushing yards 20th. So
And they have a pretty good secondary, at least in terms of names. You get AJ Terrell, who just got paid, as one of the top corners in the league, and maybe certainly the best veteran safety duo. For a long time,
Right.
it was the guys in Buffalo with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. They've both moved on. They signed Jesse Bates, and then late they obviously signed our guy Justin Simmons, and they keep that back end. I think it's sturdy. They've made plays. Jesse Bates has found a bunch of footballs that he's intercepted. We saw Justin pick off Patrick Mahomes I think like
Justin
the fifth time
Simmons.
for the fifth time in his career.
Do you think?
Can we pause on Justin? What were you about to ask about Justin?
I don't
Simmons?
know. I was just about to like, hey, you mentioned him, so I was going to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, are the Broncos going to give a tribute video to Justin
That's what I was
Simmons?
going to ask. Are they going to do that?
Probably.
They got to, right?
I would hope so. 8 years, multiple Pro Bowls, 3-time Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah,
Got to think it's coming.
3-time. That's a moneymaker too. That's like, have you heard about that thing? How people will like pay like PR firms to rally to get them the Walter Payton Man of the Year because it makes them more marketable and makes them more money for their charities and all that stuff.
I have not heard that. That doesn't surprise me. There's a couple things about the Walter Payton Man of the Year, which the NFL calls its most prestigious award. It is an honor because so many players do so much great charity work. So many teams do really across all sports, but certainly the NFL and the players at every year. So every team gets to nominate a player. You automatically get $30,000 the second the team selects you. And that, I don't say it's arbitrary, but they get to decide. So then you have 32 nominees that all get the $30,000. They then do a social media challenge. You talk about marketing companies, and whoever gets the most tweets gets another bonus. And then if you win the big award, you get to wear the Walter Payton Man of the Year trophy, which used to be called NFL Man of the Year, but John Elway's won it before. Peyton Manning won it. Drew Brees won it. It's, if you go down the list, it is 98% Hall of Fame, multi-Pro Bowl kind of guys. Calais Campbell, Denver's own, won it. But you talk about more marketable, you get to use all that, and it makes people want to donate to your charity.
Is Justin Simmons on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now?
That's probably why he hasn't won the big award.
Yeah, he needs. Yeah. Did you know, just to break off with Justin Simmons real quick, do you know that the most passing yards ever thrown by a Broncos quarterback in a single game was against the Atlanta Falcons? Do you know who that quarterback was?
Wilson.
No, what year?
Nope, I'm not going to tell you the year because then you know the quarterback.
Falcons.
I thought it was going to be like a trick question. That's why I went Wilson.
No, the most passing yards ever thrown in a game by a Broncos quarterback were thrown against the Falcons.
Okay.
Who was that quarterback?
Jay Cutler. Jake Plummer.
Yep, Jake Plummer.
Were you in that game?
Go Jake Plummer.
Yeah, I was in that game. 499 yards against the Falcons in 2004. I played in that game. It was on Halloween.
Scary.
We lost. Very spooky. Michael Vick, they beat us 41-28. And Michael Vick was running all around.
Can you imagine throwing damn near 500 passing yards and you still lose?
Russell,
I got one even better. In college, our quarterback, Zamir Amin, who was born in Afghanistan, and his parents fled Afghanistan during the Soviet occupation in 1979, 1980, around there. He ended up becoming a quarterback. We played on the same team. He threw for 731 yards in a game. It was the all divisions passing record, and we lost the game.
What was the score in that one?
39-37. Our bus got lost on the way there. We showed up under an hour before the game started. Our buses are pulling up and they're on the field already warming up. And so we were getting taped on the buses and stuff. We get out on the field. They delayed the start by about 15 minutes. We came out real flat, went down 21-0 and had to just throw the ball every play to catch up.
He's seen you adjust. Geez, 731 yards.
I had like 240. We had 5 guys over 100 yards receiving. A running back had over 100 yards, a tight end, and 3 receivers.
I can't believe I need to ask this. Is 240 yards the most you had in a game also? Or
it is not.
No. You had more than 240 yards
I probably had like 8 200-yard plus games. I had a 268, 258.
In high school?
No, in college.
Oh, this was your college. Okay.
Yep, this was in
Basically,
college.
Nate's a badass.
Well, I mean,
he
threw the ball
He's
a lot.
badass, but he's a humble king.
Thanks, Liv.
Booyah.
So that's why humble.
You're the humblest.
Yes.
You tell us all the time how humble you are.
Yeah.
Wipe that disgusted look off your face. He was like this.
Do you think of do you know the movie Pop Star, the Andy Samberg?
Oh yeah,
with the song.
Yeah, it's
Humble.
a good one. I like that one a lot.
Humble. Have you seen that? That'll make you laugh. I had
That's
my now 18-year-old watch it, and he's like, and then he laughing the whole time.
Andy Samberg is really always funny.
Yeah, it's a Lonely
It's
Island.
a great
guys.
movie.
Yeah,
we should put that not at the top of your list, but on your list for sure.
No, I've seen it.
Okay, good. I'll just show you just that video, and it's funny. Anyway,
but I do feel like there's a lot of games where if you're just a stats guy, and you're looking at the numbers, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. A game in my brain that just happened this weekend, having 5 interceptions and still coming back and beating the Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy work. That's not a game you should win if you've turned the ball over 5 times.
Dan Campbell also said
happens.
he played a good game. He's like, I'm not worried about the interceptions. He played a good game. So it's nice to have a coach who doesn't look at the stats and care about that. You know, he wants you to keep taking chances. He wants you to press it. He knows how good you are. He trusts you. And if you find a way to win, that's all that matters.
But I don't think the Broncos are there yet. We're not playing complete enough football to where Bo could turn the ball over 5 times and we'd be all right.
No, I remember
We can't afford
Tony
it.
Romo did it on a Monday night game in Buffalo, and the Cowboys still eked out like a 19-18 win. You talk about 500 yards and a loss. Both Tony Romo and I want to say Big Ben in the playoffs. Tony Romo against the Broncos in that 51-48 shootout. Tony Romo throws for 500 yards, 2013, 500 yards in Dallas, 5 touchdowns, but throws an interception to Danny Trevathan when the score's tied 48-48. Matt Prater game-winning field goal, and people are lighting Romo up. And I'm like, he threw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Did that interception ultimately cost you the game? Maybe. But take Tony Romo off the field.
Yeah.
Your quarterback's throwing for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Broncos are winning 50-17.
It just goes to show you how it all can come down to one play, and then the perception of the game is all about that one play, like the Broncos last week, right? And that field goal, which was devastating. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that. I know Alex Forsyth.
There's tears forming.
Alex Forsyth has gotten a lot of grief this week. There's been a lot of conjecture about who's to blame there and all that. And I think we've all seen sort of I've seen at least on Twitter and other places, kind of a snapshot of a bunch of these plays over the last handful of weeks where Alex Forsyth was getting dumped on his butt in a similar fashion. Why is that so funny, Liv?
Sometimes I just don't know what's going to come out of your mouth, and then it does, and I'm like, oh, dumped on your butt.
Yeah, boom, just like getting absolutely flat backed,
ass over tea kettle.
Yeah, elbows and assholes, just boom.
These are all expressions. We're not making these up.
These are things that coaches say,
I have never heard elbows and assholes.
That was one of my old college coaches used to say that.
It's a Division 3 thing.
It's a D3 thing. Yeah,
you wouldn't understand.
Every coach has his own little coachisms that he says, but
that's a new one for me. Yeah,
but I will tell you this though, that had been happening to Alex Forsyth. Two guys. Now I can't even say anything without.
No, I'm good. I'm done. My
he's
giggles
just coming over the top of him.
He's getting blasted. But he's getting blasted. Happening against New Orleans. Happened a bunch of games.
So he's getting what now?
Blasted,
crushed,
smushed. So I saw this 2-minute video.
Yeah.
On Twitter, where they showed probably 10 to 12 extra points and field goal attempts from the Broncos where the exact same result was happening every single time. These guys were pushing over Alex Forsyth, and he'd end up on his back, and they kept coming over there, boom, boom. And Alex Pert, who was the wing on the play, next to Alex Forsyth, Matt Pert, yeah. I'm sorry, who was next to Alex Forsyth, is supposed to give him inside help first and then stab outside, because you have 2 guys. I've been that wing position before. You have 2 guys coming at you. You have to help inside first, step inside, help him with a foot behind his foot and a punch, and then go outside, because the inside threat is more dangerous than the outside one, because that's a shorter line to the kick. Now, Pert stepped outside first and then back inside. By then it was too late, and he wasn't able to help the inside rush at all, and Alex Forsyth took it all. Basically, 3 guys.
Three guys could have blocked it a lot.
Pert is the one that maybe made a goof up.
No, I think the Broncos coaches are to blame.
That's what I was getting at.
There we go.
What I was getting at is this has been happening week in and week out, and they have not done anything to change it. And so when you're a team, you're scouting your opponent's weaknesses, and you see it week after week after week, you develop a plan to go right over the top of that weakness and make a play. And so as bad as Alex Forsyth was on that play, he's been doing it week in and week out, and the coaches see it. We all watch the film. We go in there and see everybody. I bet he was so pissed. We see everybody fucking up, so we know.
Right.
And nobody hates Alex Forsyth in that room. They're like, Coach, why aren't you pulling him out?
I'm saying I bet Alex Forsyth is like,
why are you keep putting me in this position? Right?
Yeah, like
because you're not going to say,
I could have told you this was going to happen.
You're right. You're not going to say, Coach, I need to come out. I don't feel comfortable in this position. And nobody's going to do that. You wait till you get pulled out. But it's up to coaches to put people in positions that they think are going to succeed. And when you see that they can't, you pull them out and put in someone who can. And ultimately, that came back to bite them.
And here's what's also happened. The reason Alex Forsyth has been thrust into this role on kick, field goal PAT team, because he's the starting center with Luke Wattenberg banged up.
Yeah.
And Forsyth has been okay. He hasn't been great, but he's been certainly good enough. We're not seeing him get destroyed play in, play out. I think there's been some times, if we were to go back and watch every snap, where he has also gotten bull rushed a little bit. But the downside of that, if you don't make that play, then that also opens stuff up, whatever. But he's been okay at center. That hasn't been an issue. But the center, in the way their kick team is constructed, goes to play tight end, essentially. And the extra tackle in Pert probably should be coming in to play tackle. If anything, Forsyth should be there. But realistically, like Nate said, he's been that wing. Why aren't they just using tight ends there who are more athletic and you can run a fake off? We talked about this on Monday.
Yeah.
It's going to be asked today 4 different ways. You then also combine it with, we know Ben Katwika is the special teams coordinator, but Mike Westhoff, the legend, who has been a special teams coach for 50 years and will tell you that he basically invented special teams coaching in the NFL. And most people aren't going to argue with him too much, but he is as old school as they come, but also innovative. And they also have Chris Banjo, who just walked off the field 2 years ago, stepped right into coaching last year. So they have 3 guys who are special teams through and through. And just like a 2-minute video, that's not new to them. And the fact that they didn't say, oh, well, even though that's faster, if we're bringing Payton, we might as well run someone else and just run Forsyth all the way off. And
yeah, because Kroll was the wing on there earlier in the season, which is what I saw.
Yeah.
So they had Kroll, the tight end, as the wing. The thing I did, which is normal, you put a tight end there in case there is a fake, and because he is a little quicker on his feet, more agile. But you put Pert there. Why not leave Kroll there and put Pert where Forsyth 100%. Was? Because he's as big enough to get that job done. They
Are
didn't
you listening,
do that.
Sean?
For whatever. Yeah, relative to we didn't think
relative to your bad game plan.
Yeah.
We've got you covered over here at Gorilla Sports.
But you wonder how much Sean Payton is involved in special teams. Some coaches put themselves in those meetings, put themselves in that discussion. Some don't because they have so much on their plate.
Right.
For an offensive coach like Sean Payton, I would imagine he doesn't spend a lot of time in the special teams room.
Especially with the guys that he's hired.
Yeah, exactly. They're supposed to get that. So what happens after the fact? I mean, an offensive coach after an offensive drive, that results in a kick, whether it's a touchdown with an extra point or a field goal, he's probably not paying a lot of attention to the operation of that kick.
Right.
He's thinking about the drive that just happened. He wants to make sure the kick goes in.
Right.
But he's about to go talk to his quarterback. He's looking at that kind of thing. So he can't. I don't think there's a ton of blame on Sean Payton other than not hiring the guys who are going to make that change. I don't really know, but like Brandon said, their pedigree, their credentials are up there with anybody else in the league.
Yeah.
So it's curious why that wasn't changed and why it ended up being that way.
I have to think that his interaction with Mike Westhoff and Ben Katwika and probably to a lesser degree Chris Banjo, but certainly Mike and Ben and now Mike Westhoff stepped away yesterday due to a health concern related to his vision. And I guess you can insert your joke there as well. But Mike sent out a nice tweet today thanking all of Broncos country and everyone for all the support, and he's going to be okay. I mean, Mike's in his late 70s, so this is and he's retired like 5 times. But Sean, it's probably like, hey, are we good there? Are we good? And because no kicks have been blocked, a missed kick, unless it's blocked, Sean's not even going to spend a lot of time on let's kick, and he's only missed 2 kicks I think all year.
Yeah,
so he's probably
they've both been blocked.
To your point about,
and then the 60-yarder,
right? And the 60, but to your point about how time is spent, he's probably now, as he's got his cut-ups, he probably doesn't even have kicks in there. I'm not saying they aren't talking about kickoff and special teams but he's probably not rewatching the extra point or the field goal very much to have seen Forsyth. He's trusting that they're seeing it and are making an adjustment if needed, and they just haven't. And
it's possible because you got to decide what 45 guys are going to be active for every game because there's 53 that are on the team. 8 guys don't suit up no matter what. That's a weird league rule. You can't suit up everybody on your roster. My first year as a tight end, which was 2005, I was one of those 8 guys pretty often. So I would practice all week, and I'd be hopeful I was going to play in the game. I would get to the locker room, and they'd be like, Nate, you're down. Thumbs down when I'd walk in the locker room, which means you're not playing. Go out there and get your run and get your lift, and then put on your sweats and eat yourself a hot dog and a donut because you're not going out there and playing today.
Did they give you the choice if you want to be on the field or upstairs? Or
we were always on the field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were on the field. The active guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, Alex Forsyth, who was a center that was playing before and now he's not playing anymore, there's a conversation as to whether or not he should be active in the game. Should he even suit up or not, or should he be one of the inactive guys? If you are active, you got to play in some way. Unless you're the backup quarterback, you got to be doing special teams. So there could have been a world in which it's like Sean Payton's like, well, I need him up, because I want my backup center in case he's not there. And then they're like, well, all right, well, if he's up, then we got to put him out here. And so we're going to put him there. Because that's where the only spot that's really open. And so you end up seeing how a chain reaction could create a vulnerability based on a need elsewhere. And it's just like, I'm interested in how this team responds, the team. to a heartbreaking loss like that. I think
That
they'll
was
clean that
tough.
up. They'll figure that out, and hopefully that'll never happen again. But the emotion of losing a game like that. Do you have the guys in the room that are going to respond? This is a huge game for the Broncos. If they lose this game at home against the Falcons, the playoff hopes get a lot harder.
They went from 75% down to like 40%. They still control their own destiny without question because they're a game above the teams behind them. They play the Chargers. They're going to play the Colts, who are right there near them. They're going to play the Bengals. They're going to play these teams. They get the Chiefs at the end of the year, bad Raiders team, winnable games for sure all throughout their last stretch here, but they have to win them. So it's not just that they're winnable. No, we like their chances because the math is going to get real tricky here if they drop this game. And the Falcons, who have been good at times, went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football and have looked really good. That fun game with Tampa a couple Thursdays ago. They lose to a Saints team with the interim coach and Darren Rizzi. It's not a good loss. And now they're trying to get back on track as well. And so they're kind of searching for answers in Raheem Morris's first year. Play caller in Atlanta, by the way, Denver native Zach Robinson, who I want to say played at Chatfield High.
I'm not sure where he played. He was a passing game coordinator last year with the Rams. You look it up. And then their defensive
He's
coordinator.
about to find out for us.
Well, no, Zach, I mean, it's cool when a Colorado kid, a Colorado high school football player, played his college ball at Oklahoma State, but keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, defense coordinator, both the DC and the OC of the Falcons were with the Rams last year. And that operation, and Raheem Morris was the DC there, right?
Yeah, Chatfield High. Raheem, who had been with Sean and DC as well.
But he was a DC and LA rep.
Yeah, last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so they brought kind of a lot of this, which usually happens when a head coach gets hired. He brings his buddies with him and so cleans out that staff a little bit. But they're in first place. The Broncos need to win this game. You talked about their opponents coming up. The Bengals are going to be a tough game for the Broncos.
No doubt.
The Chargers
Just went head-to-head with the Ravens. I mean, that was a great game.
Joe Burrow's having a good season. They're not winning the games. That's what's crazy. They're like 3-7, aren't they?
Jamar Chase said that in one of his post games. He's like, Jamar Chase said he believes that he himself and Joe Burrow are playing their best football right now, and it's not translating in wins. And it's like the most frustrating thing ever. Because you watch that Bengals team play football and you're like, they're good.
They are,
but their record doesn't show for it at all.
That's also a fucked up thing to say in an interview because you're basically saying we're doing our job. We're the fucking. What about the
Jamar Chase hasn't always been great.
No, all I'm saying is that's how it comes off.
That is
totally.
Because imagine saying, "Hey, we're having our best season ever." If he just says like we haven't played better, even at LSU, he says it like that.
We got to figure out a way to play.
And I don't know exactly how he worded it, but he was alluding to the fact that him and Joe Burrow are playing
really good
I know. I'm
very
saying,
great, almost their best, and it's not.
Well, it just shows there could be a divide in the locker room in that.
For sure.
When the offense is playing well, the defense.
I mean,
is
the
not.
Bengals didn't want to pay Jamar. There might be a reason why they didn't. Maybe he's.
But they're not
going
to trade T. Higgins, so they're going to franchise T. Higgins, giving Jamar a big deal, and they make things hard on themselves. It's the Bengals, so they do. But it will be a tough game. We don't know when it is. It's either the 28th or the 29th of December. Next to last game. But you're starting to also get in on the Chargers too.
Yeah, the Chargers are going to be really good, a tough team. If
you get the Browns on a Monday night, our guy Shelby and company, they're not just going to roll over.
No, is that here?
Here Monday night, right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
Love that. I'll be on the sideline checking jock straps. Is that regulation? All right, it's okay.
Yeah, I love the idea that you're smelling the jock strap. Hey, PS2, come here. Yeah, you're good. This passes the smell test. Not sure it does with Liv.
Why do men do why? Because you guys do it. You guys sniff your clothes to figure out.
Oh yeah, I do that.
If you can put them back in the drawer. If you wore them, just wash them.
Oh, there's some boxers there. I'm gonna some underwear. I'm gonna give a sniff to know if it's clean or not. Because that tells you if it's clean or not.
I wash these jeans on Thursday. And what's today?
Underwear is
Wednesday.
different than jeans. Like I will rewear a pair of jeans a couple of times.
My problem is that I'm not always folding everything right off the bat, and so it's there's some piles and areas that could be clean and could not.
Agreed.
And so I'm gonna have to give it a sniff.
Underwear, 100%. Underwear, socks, off, done. Jeans, t-shirt.
Jeans, you're not supposed to wash every time.
No, you're not, and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
T-shirts depends on what the day held. Like so right now I put this t-shirt on today.
Yeah.
Okay. I took the kids to school, came here, been here. I'm not sweating. We definitely can get hot under these lights. I currently am not. I'm gonna go from here to the Nuggets. I don't expect that to be extra hot.
Unless they have you running drills or something.
And and I got my Gorilla zip-up hoodie. I'll go to Broncos. It's only gonna be 50 degrees, but standing in that sun, if all of a sudden I'm sweating and I feel one drop of sweat, definitely not wearing this t-shirt again without washing it. But if I feel like I've gone the entire day without sweating, I might just fold it up and put it back in my closet.
I guess women are. I don't think there's ever been a day where I haven't been sweating.
Oh, well. I hate to sweat
That
without
could be just
working
hormones and stuff.
I hate to
maybe.
sweat without working
That means
out.
you have a good metabolism.
Yeah.
Well, there's also people that sweat every day that have terrible metabolism that are maybe overweight and everything makes them sweat.
Yeah.
There's those people too.
Thanks.
But
it's funny, like you know what's funny about playing pro football? You actually get to behave like a child, like a toddler. Like if they do your laundry for you. What is that?
I was giving you the laundry. I was giving you my laundry. Here you go, Flip.
You basically just throw it on the ground or in a big bin, or you put it in this bag, and then the next day it's clean in your locker. You don't have to do anything for yourself. You don't have to make food for yourself. You don't have to arrange transportation. You don't have to arrange a doctor's appointment. Like everything is always taken care of. That would be the life.
It's luxury.
Yeah, it is. And so it's like no wonder that guys, when they're done playing, have such an issue in the real world because you have to do all this stuff yourself now.
Do you guys help with laundry at the house?
I do all my laundry.
Mine. My wife does hers.
A lot of the kids.
Oh, that's good.
We both pitch in to do the kids and the towels.
I've always liked doing laundry because I want to make sure I separate stuff out. I know what I've gotten a stain on, and sometimes stuff will get like thrown in and it had some random stain that.
I'm not. I just colors. I'm just
colors, whites,
colors too. Sure, that's a whole separate thing. I don't trust myself with bleach, so anything like when the white towels, white sheets, I let my wife handle just the white stuff. But I don't really wear anything necessarily that white other than socks. But you talk about that. Caleb Williams for certainly being under fire for his play. There was a story that came out early in the year about one of his veteran teammates asked about his leadership. And he goes, look, I saw him the other day yell at the whole team about just being slobs. Like, hey, everybody's here working. They're doing a job, but they're not your maid. It's like put your stuff in the put it in the laundry bin or throw your trash away. And then Friday, as we're at the Broncos and they're getting ready to, get our stuff packed up for the Chiefs. And I'm only saying this because I saw it happen. If it happened differently, I might not say the name, but the team's best player, highest paid player on the team, or right up there, PS2, he and I are just shooting the breeze at his locker. We're about to get kicked out of the open meet. He throws like whatever, some piece of laundry, just misses totally. He's like, oh man. And could have left it there. Like it's clearly right next to it. As we're talking, he just gets up, doesn't say anything to me, gets up, puts it in, comes right back. And I think that just says more about the type of person PS2 is. And he's not the only person in the locker room, but you've definitely seen guys over the years throw it, miss it, and then you just keep it moving to go do whatever they're doing next. And I don't think that makes them a jerk by any means. It's if you're guys throwing it at people or intentionally like walking up to the bin and throwing it next to it on the ground. But
I would say, though, that is an admirable moment from Caleb Williams, but it doesn't seem like they've responded to his leadership. Those fuckers aren't even picking him up off the ground when he's laying there. Like, oh, you're going to yell at me about the trash? Pick yourself up.
I don't know if Matt Eberflus, despite his cool new look and his cool hair, is going to survive this. He fired Shane Waldron. If it doesn't turn around, there's no reason to think it will.
Maybe he shaves the beard.
How big of a problem is Caleb Williams where he is in his career and his maturity and all this, and or questions about his maturity, his ability, the fact that it's not all clicking, he's trying to extend plays to his detriment, which worked in college because you're in college. How much is he going to be both potentially the answer, but certainly the problem in Chicago for whether it is Eberflus or very likely the next coach and coaches next year?
Dude, you leverage your entire organization when you draft a guy like that. When it's the surefire number one, generational talent, just like Trevor Lawrence was, and just like all these dudes who aren't actually that, but they get so much put on their back, and then he has to live up to it. But he's a very quirky individual. Like, you remember he has like a pink phone case and pink fingernails at that basketball game, and like, okay, do you, but that's unusual for a leader of a team. Mm-hmm. It's unusual for a young man to come into a locker room full of grown men and be that guy. Can we look to that guy and be inspired by that guy? Do we find that he is the leader that
we need?
Can
we relate to that guy?
Can we relate to him at all? Or is he just too weird? That matters. That stuff really does matter. And it's not just about the pink fingernails, but it's about you being a guy that people want to get behind, and can look you in their eyes in the huddle and get you to believe that something special is going to happen. Jay Cutler didn't have pink fingernails, but he wasn't a very inspiring leader. He was head down, didn't talk to anybody, didn't really care about anybody else's life, didn't ask you a question about your family, didn't want to know anything about you at all. He just wanted to, go out there and practice and play. He wasn't a bad dude, but he wasn't relatable.
Right.
And so there was a huge difference when Jake Plummer was benched and Jay took over in just that relatability of our leader. And we suffered because of it. So I think we got the right guy in Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is the guy who's going to
agree.
galvanize this locker room. I'm excited to see how he responds on Sunday to a heartbreaking loss like that, and how, if he can put his best foot forward and everyone else can just fall behind.
Is it fair to say that Bo Nix might be like one of the, in terms of a post game and responding to losses, like to me, he's one of, not just for rookies, he's one of the most composed quarterbacks after games, even after losing in brutal fashion.
No, I think that's fair. And I was a little nervous. So we talked about this on Monday, that he was going to come in and be just too cliched. But he'll give you, well, one, you'll see a little, we talked about that edge, but aggravation. What happened on that? I threw it to the wrong team, which is not
He's like, I dropped back and threw it to the wrong guy.
Yeah, because he could talk, be like, yeah, I saw that. Like, he could talk you through it, but he's like, no, I threw it to, which is letting he's pissed off, but also not like I'm a robot. Like, if you ask Russ that question, he says, yeah, I rolled out, I looked here, and I saw Jerry Jeudy, but then I also saw Lucas Kroll on the backside, and then Quinn Miners is blocking his ass off.
And then I thought of this time 7 years ago when I was in a meeting with Pete Carroll, and he told me that.
But
then the Pinterest board
but the other part too is, I think it is worth noting, he is a rookie, but with 61 career starts and talking every time after every Auburn game and after every Oregon game, that 61 times he's done this, a lot of wins at Oregon, certainly wins and losses at Auburn. They weren't 0 whatever, but they weren't 10-2 every year. They were around 500. I don't know his record, but it didn't go great, and coaches got fired and all that, and he left. But he's just done it, and he grew up the son of a coach, so he understands what to say and what not to say. But I think he will kind of let you see his personality a little bit. And so, yeah, he's been really good post game most of the time, especially if you ask him. I've been lucky enough to come up with the right question at the right time, but he's given a thoughtful answer when talking about like appreciating stuff or it not being the end of the world. Yes, it sucks that they lost, and also helps to do that as a rookie. Aaron Rodgers, it does feel like the end of the world because
A-Rod, it's not going well.
But look,
he's probably on Pat McAfee today. How funny is it that he keeps having to go on Pat McAfee as his season gets worse and worse and worse? Like, what's he gonna say?
Contracts are crazy, man. You sign it, you take $1 million or whatever, and you're happy to an AJ Hawk's your old teammate. But Aaron Rodgers knows that the end is near. Even if he tries to stick it out one more year, Bo Nix, if in year 8 they're still just middling along and he's still a starter, you may not get the best version of him because they haven't made the playoffs, and if it's that, and he wouldn't be here for 8 years doing that. Versus in year 1 and you start out a little rough, you have a rough game. He has a perspective now. I've lost a bunch and I'll win some, and we'll see where it goes. But I think that it is good to have perspective, because some people, the sky is falling and their world's ruined when they lose a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Bo's the guy. I think Bo is
I do too.
Our quarterback of the future. I would take him over Caleb Williams right now in a heartbeat. I think he's shown more poise, more leadership, more relatability, and played better actually than Caleb Williams, the surefire #1 generational talent. It just goes to show there's such a crazy transition from college to the pros. The situation matters. The team you're on matters. The coaching staff matters a lot. I think Bo's benefiting from really good coaching. As much as we give Sean Payton relative to some shit, he's a very good coach. Bo Nix is surrounded by the right coaches, and I think he's going to continue to improve. Is he statistically at the top of the league? No, he's not. But the Broncos are 5-5 with an opportunity to go on a little run here. It's not going to be easy, though. I know they have, in this matchup with the Falcons, a #1 team in their division. You want to throw those stats up there, Jay, before we
look at these matchups?
So this is the kind of the stat sheet that they give in advance of these matchups, so you can see. Brandon, you want to break?
No, I was just trying to get my foot in your shot. Shot there under the graphic.
You want to play footsie there?
I'll step on my shoes.
Leave it up. Leave it up.
Sorry, just being goofy. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, kind of some. Well, look at this. Look, yeah, where are the net passing?
Broncos are on the left. Falcons on the right of everything.
Yeah, the Broncos not great passing team. Falcons are pretty darn good passing team.
They're top 10 in a bunch of offensive categories. The Broncos are only top 10 in sacks allowed.
But then it's funny, you flip it, and the Broncos defense are top 10 in mostly everything, and the Falcons defense sucks.
Falcons defense is not good, and they're not good on third down. They're one of the worst in the league. You get to the red zone, you're going to score on them more than you're certainly allowing teams to score. And even special teams, where the Broncos have, for the most part, been really good over these last couple of years.
Yeah.
The criticism Sunday on the field goal notwithstanding, they've been really good, and they've figured out how to find some of that hidden yardage.
And, the Falcons had a field goal mishap of their own to end the last game. Younghoe Koo missed one, I think, as time expired, and hung his head so much that the owner, Arthur Blank, put his arm around the Younghoe Koo and said, "It's going to be all right, son.
Middle-aged
all right."
Younghoe Koo now.
It's gonna be
Remember he got
all
cut by the
right.
Chargers early in his career. Certainly found his footing with Atlanta.
Yeah.
Best Korean kicker of all time, without question.
Is there another?
I don't know, but he's the highest on the list. Bo Nix can join Peyton Manning, by the way. Got this from Eric Dalala, courtesy of NFL Plus, even though he works for the Broncos, so I retweeted it. Bo Nix can join Peyton Manning as the only rookie QB ever in the history of the game to have 200 passing yards and multiple touchdown games in 4 consecutive home games. So Peyton, as a rookie, despite 90 interceptions, still had 4 straight games where he threw multiple touchdowns and 200 yards. 200 is dropping that number down. I don't think he'd love to see it be 300, but either way, multiple touchdown passes against that very suspect defense, despite it having 3 really good players on the back end with AJ Terrell, the corner. And
did you say
and
90 interceptions in one season?
I was approximating. Peyton threw 28, a rookie record that he always likes to talk about. He's like, I cannot wait for one of these rookies to do it. In order to do it, you're going to have to play a lot. And when we were at the golf tournament at the BMW, Peyton talked coming off the Pro-Am off the 18th. And I was like, so you always talk about that rookie interception? He's like, well, I don't want Bo to do it. I definitely don't want Bo to do it.
Nobody's going to break that again. I don't think, or not a break. Nobody's going to break that record. I don't think, because they're on short leashes now and they're so afraid to take chances. People don't throw the ball like they did back then. It's like the worst possible tragedy ever to throw an interception now. Even though Jared Goff did throw 5 the other night in a win.
Won.
Yeah. So
yeah,
he's going to throw 11 on the year.
Right. Exactly. So it's very rare the quarterback has those kind of picks anymore. It's just a different type of efficiency when it comes to throwing. It's always take the easiest throw, the one in front of you, and the defenses are playing things differently now. So they don't take as many chances down the field. But it's funny. You can find stats, and every day there's a new stat about why Bo Nix is good or why he's bad, because he's, and I hear them both. And so really you got to trust your eyes and see how this season plays out. There was an argument at the beginning of the season not to start Bo Nix, but to actually start Jarrett Stidham and let Bo Nix learn behind Jarrett Stidham. And a lot of really smart football people were making that argument.
Not us.
Not us. Not me. Not you. Not
we
you.
were believers.
We were believers from the beginning. Okay.
I honestly, and I, as much as I loved Bo Nix and he was my number 1 choice as they were having this quarterback competition, I would have put Zach Wilson behind Bo over Jarrett. So I was not agreeing with those people saying.
And that still could be, if Bo were to get hurt, Jarrett would go in that game, right? But what would happen in the weeks that followed?
I think you're right.
I think Zach could end up being that guy if Bo were to sustain an injury that was severe enough to miss 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks or whatever. I don't know if Jarrett, because we saw Jarrett Stidham start a few games last year. It wasn't that spectacular. It wasn't awful, but he beat Easton Stick of the Chargers, but then went into Vegas and got beat pretty bad by the Raiders.
Yeah,
who weren't a great team. So Bo Nix started week 1. He's learned every single week. It was a difficult couple first games to start. And that was the argument some people were making, that like, hey, he's going to ruin his confidence if he loses a couple games early. Well, that's what we drafted him, because we believe he can overcome those types of disappointing performances, right? And learn from them. And the Peyton Manning model is throw him in there, let him take his lumps. Peyton threw 28 picks that first year and went 3-13. The very next year went 13-3. So maybe that's the kind of improvement we have ahead of us with Bo Nix.
I love it. I would love that. Okay, we ready to get out of here?
I think so. Maybe we could do this again Friday.
Yeah.
That was the
same
plan.
place?
Yeah, I think that was the plan.
I'm going to go to Costco and get a bunch of sweatpants for all of us.
Yeah, could you get me some?
Yeah. Well, you have to buy in bulk. It's Costco. So, here's one sweatpant set. You have to buy 8 of them.
Here's one sweatpant.
Here's one pant.
Anyway, okay, we will be back Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain Time for another episode of Off Field. I'm Liv Moods. That's BK. That's Nate Jackson. And we'll see you Friday. Bye-bye. Bye.